All right, my beautiful people. Let me start my timer. All right. It's time for us to learn about the Electoral College. One of the great mysteries of constitutionalism. All right, so question number one. Do American voters have a constitutional right to vote for president? Raise your hands. Of course they do, right? Of course they do. Go into your Google Classroom down below. Somewhere I have, under Foundational Docs or 9 Foundational Docs, I have a copy of the Constitution. Please go to the Constitution and go to Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 2. 212. Go to 212. Pause and go and look at it for me, please. All right, what's it say? Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. Now these okay, this gets confusing because in this context the Constitution is talking about electors in the Electoral College. In another place or two they talk about electors as in just general voters. So, you know, electors in the Electoral College are voters for president, all right? And if you read 212, you will see that we do not have the constitutional right to vote for president. The state legislature, you guys understand that we have a state legislature down in Phoenix, right? It has a state senate with 30 members. It has a state House of Representatives with 60 members. We have a governor. Those people decide how the electors that vote for president are to be elected, all right? By the way, how many electors does each state have? Each state has electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives in the House of Representatives. So the number of members in the Senate and the House to which the state may be entitled in Congress. But no senator, representative, or any person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. So can your postman be an elector? No, he works for the federal government. Can the governor of Arizona be an elector? Yes, because that is not an office of trust, or profit of the governor is not. He works for the state of Arizona, not for the federal government. All right, so how weird, right, that we do not have a constitutional right to vote for president. Okay. AP people, you write this in your notes. My regular government people, go to EN slide 12 and write down the answer to this. Each state has electors equal to its what and what. And who decides how these electors are selected? I guess I should use the same word. They use the word appointed. I'll stick with the word selected. All right, so the answer to these two are in Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 2. Pause it and go find the answers, all right? All right, so look, this is a misconception about the Electoral College. AP people, you must know this by heart. AP people, this is huge, all right? So understand that the framers, when they wrote the Constitution, they designed the Electoral College so that state legislatures would pick elites. Who are elites? Well, you know what, let's be honest. Rich white guys, land-owning white male property owners, right? And those people would pick the electors. I mean, those people would vote for president. So the state legislature Oh, by the way, how many does Arizona have? Arizona has how many? We have 2 senators and we have 9 congressmen. So we have 11 electors, right? So the idea was the state legislatures would sit around and say, who is a wise person? Who is a wise person? Oh, we think Brett Dahl, the principal of Bradshaw Mountain High School, is a wise man. And we're going to appoint him to be an elector. And then Brett Dahl will vote for president, right? Or if they were even crazier, they would say, we think Bruce Giles, well, he's a property-owning white male. We think he is a wise man, shush, and we are going to appoint him to be an elector, and then Bruce Giles is going to go vote for president, all right? So, what were they trying to accomplish? By the way, could they have had the president elected by popular vote back in 1789? The answer is yes, they did not. N-O-T. They did not want voters to pick the president. They did not want voters. Boy, were the framers a little bit elitist? Were they scared of the mob, rule by the mob? Were they scared of a demagogue? All right, this guy here is Alexander Hamilton. He is famous, AP people, you must know this, for writing a whole bunch of articles that were published advocating for the ratification of the Constitution in 1788. He wrote these and they were published in New York newspapers. They were later bundled together and published under the name of the Federalist Papers. Here he is in Federalist, I think this is 65, right? Does it even say? This, I believe, was Federalist 65. All right. The process of election of the president affords a moral certainty that the office of the president will never fall to the lot of any man who is not in an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications, which is a really fancy way of saying if we have white male property owners who are like respected and revered in our community, they're not going to pick a crazy man like the mob, like the common voter might, right? Like the common voter might. In other words, they were, sorry, mosquitoes. They wanted to avoid a demagogue. So, AP people, write this word down and look it up. What is a demagogue? I'm going to be controversial. Do we have a demagogue who's been elected president ever in our country? And if so, who? All right. But here's what happened. Immediately, there was pressure by constituents. Who are constituents? Constituents are the people that you represent. Okay? So if you are a state senator, if you are a U.S. senator in the United States Senate, your constituency is the entire state. If you are a congressman like our Paul Gosar, your constituency is Congressional District 4. In other words, basically, people living in the state. People living in the state put pressure on their state legislatures. They said, no, this is stupid. We want to vote for president. We wanted to vote for president. Remember, under Article 2:1(2), the state legislature can decide how the electors are appointed. And one by one, state after state said, we're going to put the election of electors that vote for president up to a statewide popular vote. Not a national popular vote, but a statewide popular vote. All right? So by 1836, every single state had done this. South Carolina was the last one to do it. But here's the point, and I'm going to circle all the way back to this in the lesson. Could states do it differently? All right. So, by the way, how many, slide 13, how many electors does Arizona have? Every state has how many senators? Go look in Article 1, Section 3, Paragraph 1. How many would that be? Arizona has this many congressmen. How many congressmen are there? Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boxes. And there is a congressman for each one of these congressional districts, which all, by the way, have roughly the same what? Correct, population. All right. So we have 9 congressmen. We have 2 senators. How many electoral votes do we have? We have 11, right? Okay, so how does this work in practice? How does this work in practice? How is it that you think you're voting for president, but you're not really voting for president, you're voting for electors? It's totally putting a square peg in a round hole. It's just weird, right? Here's how it happens, all right? So, you know, Clinton, well, let's do this election. So Biden is going to be on the ballot, right? And Trump is going to be on the ballot for president. So they're going to say, president, who do you want for president? There's going to be some other names, some other people may have, you know, well, there might be a libertarian person, but let's just, these are the main 2. So when you go in, you're going to have a chance, if you can vote, you're going to have a chance to vote for Biden or Trump. Let's say you decide to vote for Trump. Now you're going to mark the Trump box, but in reality, you're really voting 11 times for the Republican Party's slate of electors, all right? Biden will also have a slate of electors. I believe the names are actually put on the ballot in super small print. I'm going to get a copy of the ballot sent to me and we can double check that. All right, so I think their names are actually there. So you think you're voting for Trump, you're actually voting for the Republican slate of electors. Who are these people? Oh, I don't know. They're like Republican muckety-mucks. The Arizona State Republican Party is like, hey, do you want to be an elector? Oh, sure, I'd love to be an elector. That sounds like a cool thing to do. All right, that sounds like a cool thing to do. So, by the way, once in a blue moon, I think it happened 5 times out of 538 last election, they don't vote the way they're supposed to. A Trump elector votes for Clinton, or a Biden elector votes for Trump, or votes for somebody else, right? So those people are called faithless electors, And the Supreme Court just ruled last summer that states can punish faithless electors by making it a crime to vote the way you're not supposed to, and also they can be removed if they don't vote the way they're supposed to, and replaced by somebody who will vote the way they're supposed to. Okay, don't write all this down. I just don't know about you guys, but me, I always thought this name Electoral College was a weird name. I mean, why is it called a college? I went to a college. All right. You know how if you look up a word, there's like 4 definitions? Well, college is like the same thing. So if you look up the word college, like it's an institution of higher learning, and then some other thing. And then like the 3rd and 4th definitions are an organized body of persons engaged in a common pursuit, or having common interests or duties. So the Electoral College, poof, magically pops into existence on Election Day, November 3rd. And then when they vote in mid-December, formally vote by going to their state capitals and submitting their votes, then poof, they magically disappear. So the Electoral College is an organized body of persons that poof comes into existence, and then they vote, and then poof, they evaporate into thin air. A group of persons considered by law to be a unit, the Electoral College. All right. So that's why they called it the Electoral College, when it makes no sense under modern language. So you guys are going to become experts on the Electoral College. Now I have to make a confession, and look, I think the Electoral College is dumb. I think the Electoral College is dumb because the reason for which it was designed quickly cease to be the operating force behind it, because states all put their election of electors to statewide popular votes. And there are also some serious, well, there's two serious distortions with the Electoral College. All right. So, step one, and my regular government people, you have to do this on Ian's slide 14. My AP people, make a big note in your box, all right? We're going to calculate the total number of electoral votes in the Electoral College. All right, I'm going to get ready to pause after I show you this, because I'm going to give you hints. You guys have to go and figure this out on your own. All right, so, Constitution says each state has electors equal to its senators and congressmen, representatives. All right, so you need to figure out the total number of senators. Here's a hint. Go to Article 1, Section 3, Paragraph 1. Everybody understands that there are 50 states. When I was a kid, I was always confused between the number of cards and the number of states. There's 52 cards, 50 states, right? 50 states, the total number of representatives. I'm going to give you a hint. Go on page 752 of the copy of the Constitution that I have posted in classroom. And go to, on the left-hand side, you'll see a grayed out section that's blue if you're looking at the real book. Look at note 3, paragraph 1. And it'll give you that number. And then you have to go to the... who knows how to do Roman numerals? What's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So what's this? 10, 20, 1, 2, 3. Go to the 23rd Amendment. Read it carefully. Read it carefully. When you read it carefully, you will see that there are a number of states that only have 3 electoral votes, right? Delaware, I'm covering DC, Vermont. Okay, so DC can only have how many electoral votes? Read the 23rd Amendment. All right, so you should know this number, you should know this number, you should know this number. Those 3 should equal this. Divide by half and add 1. And you get to the magic number. I will give you the magic number, just so you can double check your math. The magic number is 270. If you get 270 electoral votes, you are President of the United States, and nothing else matters. You get to 270, you are the winner. You get to 270 and you are the winner. Is it possible for there to be a tie? Yes, there is. This number is an even number. What is this number? All right, divide this number in half, and you can get a tie in which nobody gets to 270. All right, so these two numbers you must know by heart for my test. All right, the total number of electoral votes, and to get a majority, which is 1/2 plus 1, is this number right here. All right. I'm going to let you guys figure that out on your own. Okay, so one of you in the next class, send me a chat and say, hey, what are the numbers for this? All right, and I'll let you double check. Where are we at? Oh, we have 10 minutes left. Cool. All right, so remember, President Trump lost the national popular vote to Hillary Clinton by 2.8 million votes. 2.9 million votes, if you round. 2.1% of the voters. Man, that's a pretty good gap, right? Who's president? What did Trump win? He got 306. How many did he need? He got over 270. He got 306. He is President of the United States. Why? The Democrats thought they were going to win this one, Wisconsin, this one, Michigan, and this one, Pennsylvania. What happened? All right, Michigan, Trump won by 10,000 votes. Pennsylvania, he won by 44,000 votes. Wisconsin, he won by 22,000 votes. He won, I know this is different math than my other slide. This is the more accurate stuff. He won the presidency by 77,867 votes in 3 states, right? So he won these electoral votes. If you would have subtracted those, then he would have had 260 and Clinton would have had 278 and she would have been president, but that's not how it happened. All right, so now everything about the Electoral College boils down to swing states. Swing states, swing states, swing states. They are also known as battleground states. They're also known as toss-up states. They're also known as competitive states. But mostly they're known as swing states. So, what is a swing state? Take a shot and define it. What is a swing state? What is a swing state? You know, it's weird. It's a state that you can win, or it's a state you can lose. Is California a swing state? No, the Democrats are absolutely going to win it. Is Alabama a swing state? No, the Republicans are absolutely going to win it. So you know, California is not a swing state because the Democrats can't lose it, and the Republicans can't win it. Alabama is not a swing state because the Republicans can't lose it, and the Democrats can't win it. Is Texas a swing state? You know what? Some say because of the demographic trends with Hispanics going up and the way Hispanics vote, it might someday get into play. All right, so here is your little project. Go, you know how you can send me a private email? Go to this website, 270 to Win, and see if you can come up with a moving the electoral votes around so that you get 269 to 269, a tie. Go into your search at the bottom left of your computer. Search your computer for a snipping tool. Snip a copy of your map and send it to me in the this lesson's private comments, and I'll give you extra credit. All right. All right. 2 main distortions in the Electoral College. Number 1, 48 out of 50 states award their electoral votes. Winner take all. You're like, wait a minute, I've heard winner take all before. We talked about winner take all versus proportional voting systems. This is another application of the winner take all concept. All right? The second one, small states have disproportionate voting power. AP, you must know these 2 by heart and the implications for each. You must know you must know these AP by heart. You must know the consequences of, or the distortions caused by the winner-take-all rule and the distortion caused by small states having disproportionate voting power. All right? We're going to tackle this one first. Let's assume, all right, let's look at Arizona. How should a state award its electoral votes? How should the state award its electoral votes? Arizona has 11, right? By the way, after the 2018 election, this one, let's see, Democrat, and Democrat, all right, and then Republican. So we've got 5 congressional districts that, let's assume for the sake of argument that in the 2020 election in November, these districts that elected Democratic congressmen also would vote for Biden. Follow me? And that these 4 congressional districts that have elected Republican congressmen would vote for Trump. All right? So, so how are you going to do it? How about this? How about if the vote in Congressional District 4 was for Trump, then Trump would get the electoral vote associated with that congressperson, right? Okay, if that was true, then Trump would get how many? Trump would get 4 and Biden would get 5. Now, let's assume also that statewide, let's assume that statewide Trump gets the most votes statewide. So remember the 2 bonus electoral votes associated with the Senate? So let's assume that Trump wins the statewide election. So Trump would get a total of 6 electoral votes, and Biden would get a total of 5. And the difference between these two, is our impact on the election. And the impact on the election would be a measly 1 electoral vote. Would we matter? Would we be of interest to either campaign when the fight basically is over 1 electoral vote? Let's change it and assume that Biden won the statewide popular vote. Then he would have 7, and then Trump would have 4, and then that difference would be a total of a whopping 3 electoral votes. You guys, you see the problem? You see the problem? If electoral votes cancel each other out within the state, then the state becomes less relevant. All right? So, what could a state do to maximize its punch, maximize its impact on the election, maximize the interest level, maximize its influence on the election of the president? And how about this? If you win the state popular vote, and you get all of the state's electoral votes. So let's say 2,000,001 person vote for president in the United States, and Biden gets 2 million votes. 2 million votes. And Trump gets 2 million plus 1 vote, plus 1 person. What would Trump get? Trump would get all 11 electoral votes, right? All 11 electoral votes. Crazy? Weird? All right. Every state but Maine and Nebraska does the winner take all. Every state but Maine and Nebraska does winner take all. All right? Maine and Nebraska do this calculation that I just showed you. If you win the votes if a candidate wins the votes in a congressional district, he gets that electoral vote. If whoever wins the statewide vote gets the bonus 2. All right? Bonus 2. All right. So, for your next Ian slide, what is it, 15? And you AP people do this calculation. I want you to figure out the popular vote and the Electoral College vote for each candidate. All right, the Electoral College vote and the popular vote for each candidate. All right, I'm going to show you guys quickly a chart that you could do for Clinton and for Trump. State A, State B equals, you can copy this, all right? Copy this. All right, I got 30 seconds. So figure out how many people voted for Clinton in State A, how many people voted for Trump in State A, how many people voted for Clinton in State B, how many people voted for Trump in State B. National popular vote totals. National popular